Respect is not lost in one moment. It is chipped away, quietly, invisibly, by habits most men defend as being good. The first habit is over-explaining. Weak men feel the need to justify every decision. They explain why they're busy, why they said no, why they changed their mind. They believe clarity builds respect. It doesn't. It builds familiarity, and familiarity kills authority. The more you explain yourself, the more people feel entitled to question you. Strong men state decisions. They don't narrate their reasoning, because power never asks to be understood. The second habit is instant emotional availability. Weak men respond immediately. They pick up every call. They reply to every message. They drop their priorities to be useful. At first, this feels like importance. Soon it becomes expectation. And expectations turn you into a resource, not a person. Strong men control access. They choose when to engage. They let messages wait. They let silence breathe. Silence forces others to sit with uncertainty, and uncertainty creates weight. The third habit is tolerating small disrespect. Weak men ignore subtle digs, jokes at their expense, interruptions, dismissive tones. They tell themselves it's not a big deal. But every tolerated violation becomes permission. People don't jump straight to disrespect. They escalate, slowly, testing how much they can take. Strong men don't react emotionally. They react structurally. They don't argue about respect. They remove access. And removal teaches faster than confrontation ever will. The fourth habit is seeking harmony over self-respect. Weak men smooth things over. They de-escalate at their own expense. They sacrifice position to avoid tension. But tension is not the enemy. Tension is the signal that boundaries exist. Strong men allow discomfort. They don't rush to make things nice, because nice is forgettable. And here is the brutal truth most men avoid. People respect what they cannot control. When you are always agreeable, always reachable, always understanding, you become manageable. And what can be managed cannot be respected. Machiavelli understood this clearly. He knew authority is built on consequences, not intentions. Your kindness means nothing if it comes with no limits. Your honesty means nothing if it changes under pressure. Every time you bend to be liked, you teach people how to bend you again. Respect does not respond to words, it responds to patterns. And if your pattern is availability without standards, the outcome is inevitable. Authority fades, presence lightens, and your voice carries less weight. This is not because you are weak, but because you have been predictable, and predictability is the enemy of power. Most men believe authority is regained by becoming louder, harsher, or more dominant. That belief is another trap. True authority is rebuilt quietly. The first shift is internal. Weak men look outward for confirmation. They check reactions. They adjust based on approval. Strong men decide privately. Once a decision is made, they stop negotiating with themselves. This inner alignment changes everything. People sense when a man is grounded. They may not understand it, but they feel it. The second shift is slowing down. Weak men rush to respond. They fear silence. They fear being misunderstood. Strong men pause. They let questions hang. They let tension exist. They let others reveal themselves. Silence is not emptiness, it is pressure, and pressure forces respect. When you stop filling space with explanations, your words gain weight. The third shift is selective engagement. Strong men don't attend every argument. They don't respond to every provocation. They don't correct every misunderstanding. They choose their battles carefully, and that choice alone signals authority. Because a man who doesn't need to defend himself appears unmovable. Weak men chase clarity. Strong men allow ambiguity. Ambiguity keeps people cautious. The fourth shift is consequence over emotion. Weak men express disappointment. Strong men adjust access. They don't threaten, they don't lecture. They don't escalate emotionally. They simply change the terms of engagement. Less availability, less warmth, less attention. And this withdrawal is felt immediately. Machiavelli understood that power is not about punishment, it's about loss. People fear losing access more than they fear confrontation. When someone feels your absence, they reevaluate your value. Here's the hardest truth: you cannot rebuild authority while staying the same. Some people will resist the change. Some will test you harder. Some will walk away. That is the cost. Strong men accept this cost because they value self-respect over approval. And once you cross this threshold, something shifts. Your tone changes. Your posture changes. Your presence becomes heavier. You speak less, but when you do, people listen. Authority is not announced. It is felt, and once it returns, you no longer need to chase respect. It follows. How to create a dangerous aura. People instinctively respect a dangerous aura has nothing to do with violence. It isn't aggression. It isn't intimidation. It is containment. Weak men leak energy. They talk too much. They explain too much. They reveal too much. Strong men are contained, and containment creates pressure. The first element of a dangerous aura is emotional discipline. Strong men feel emotions deeply, but they don't broadcast them. They don't vent to be understood. They don't complain to be validated. They don't react impulsively to provocation, because the moment people can read you, they can predict you. And predictability is vulnerability. Weak men believe emotional transparency builds connection. In reality, it builds leverage. Strong men filter what they show, not because they are fake, but because they are strategic. The second element is controlled presence. Strong men don't rush into rooms. They don't rush into conversations. They don't rush into decisions. They move at their own pace, and that pace signals independence. People subconsciously respect those who do not adjust themselves to the environment. When you slow down, others speed up. When you speak less, others talk more. And in that imbalance, you gain position. The third element is selective warmth. Weak men are warm to everyone. Strong men are warm to those who earn it. This is critical. When warmth is universal, it has no value. When warmth is selective, it becomes currency. Strong men don't reward bad behavior with friendliness. They don't smooth over disrespect with humor. They don't keep access open for people who cross lines. They don't announce this shift. They simply withdraw, and that withdrawal creates discomfort. Machiavelli understood that discomfort is a teacher. It forces people to reassess hierarchy. The fourth element is unspoken consequences. A dangerous man does not threaten. He does not warn repeatedly. He does not explain what will happen. He lets people discover the consequences. One mistake results in less access, less attention, less inclusion. And this silent adjustment hits harder than confrontation ever could, because it triggers a single thought in the other person's mind. What did I lose? Here is the truth most men never learn. People don't respect intensity. They respect control. Anyone can be loud. Anyone can be aggressive. Anyone can explode. Very few can remain calm while holding power, and that calm is intimidating. Once you stop trying to be liked, stop trying to be understood, stop trying to be approved of, and your presence changes, you become harder to read, harder to predict, harder to manipulate. And that is when respect becomes instinctive. Not because people fear you, but because they sense you cannot be moved. Kindness is one of the most misunderstood traits in men. Most men believe kindness makes them good, likable, valued. But kindness without power does something dangerous. It teaches people they can take from you without giving anything back. Weak men lead with kindness because they fear rejection. They give before they are respected. They invest before boundaries are set. They forgive before accountability exists. At first, this looks noble. Over time, it becomes invisible. Because kindness, when it costs you nothing, is not appreciated. It is consumed. People don't exploit kindness intentionally. They drift into it, they push a little, they take a little, they assume a little more. And because nothing happens, they keep going. Strong men understand a critical rule. Kindness only has value when it can be withdrawn. Without that ability, kindness becomes weakness. The first correction is earning before giving. Strong men don't reward potential, they reward behavior. Respect first, consistency second, access last. They observe how people act under small pressure before offering warmth, help, or loyalty. Weak men give trust up front. Strong men make trust expensive. The second correction is conditional generosity. Strong men are not cold. They are selective. They help, but only when effort is mutual. They listen, but not endlessly. They forgive, but never repeatedly for the same behavior. Every act of kindness is tied to standards. And when standards are violated, kindness pauses. No announcement, no drama, just absence. This absence is what recalibrates respect. The third correction is detachment from outcome. Weak men are kind with expectation. They want appreciation, recognition, reciprocity. Strong men are kind without attachment. They give because they choose to, not because they need approval. And the moment kindness is no longer returned with respect, they stop giving. No resentment, no chasing, just recalibration. Machiavelli understood this paradox well. He knew generosity without control creates dependency, not loyalty. People respect those who can walk away more than those who try to hold everyone together. Here's the brutal truth. People don't respect your intentions. They respect your leverage. Kindness backed by power feels safe. Kindness without power feels exploitable. Once you stop using kindness as a strategy to be liked and start using it as a privilege others earn, everything changes. Your generosity becomes meaningful. Your presence becomes valuable. Your absence becomes corrective. This is how kindness transforms from weakness into quiet authority. Not by becoming cruel, but by becoming selective. Most men believe power is loud. They think dominance comes from confrontation, arguments, and emotional force. That belief keeps them weak, because confrontation gives people exactly what they want. Your energy, your emotion, your reaction. Silence takes all of it away. Weak men confront because they feel disrespected. They argue to be understood. They raise their voice to be acknowledged, and in doing so they reveal dependence. The man who needs a response is already beneath the man who can walk away without one. Strong men understand this instinctively. Silence is not avoidance. Silence is position. When someone disrespects you, arguing tells them they touch something sensitive. Explaining tells them you need validation. Anger tells them they have control. Silence tells them nothing, and that uncertainty unsettles people. Because humans fear what they cannot read. Strong men do not correct every offense. They do not address every slight. They do not react to every provocation. They observe. They let the other person sit with the tension. They allow awkwardness to grow. They allow doubt to form. And doubt is where dominance shifts. The second layer of silence is withdrawal. Strong men don't announce boundaries emotionally. They enforce them structurally. Less access, less attention, less warmth, no speeches, no ultimatums. The person who crossed the line feels something change, and that change forces reflection. Machiavelli understood this deeply. He knew punishment teaches less than loss. Loss triggers fear. Fear triggers respect. When people feel your absence, they replay their behavior. When people feel ignored, they question their position. Weak men fear silence because they associate it with rejection. Strong men use silence as calibration. They are comfortable being misunderstood temporarily because they trust the long-term effect. Silence also protects authority. Once you argue, you step into equality. Once you explain, you invite debate. Once you confront emotionally, you lower yourself to the same level. But silence keeps hierarchy intact. It says, I don't need to convince you. I don't need your agreement. I don't need to engage. And that message lands harder than any words ever could. Here is the uncomfortable truth. People remember how you made them feel, not what you said. Silence makes people feel uneasy. It makes them replay conversations. It makes them doubt themselves. And self-doubt is submission in its earliest form. Strong men don't dominate through force. They dominate through control. Control of emotion, control of access, control of response, and silence is the ultimate expression of that control. Once you master silence, you never need to raise your voice again. Because power that speaks less is power that lasts.